Voters casting ballots across the country today. In Virginia, the race for governor is still too close to call. And we're also watching a governor's race in New Jersey. The same scenario is playing out there.
And of course, in Ohio, two special district races, 11 and 15. Mike Carey winning the 15th, Shontel Brown taking the 11th. Joining us live now are David Pepper, former chairman of the Ohio Democratic Party, and Terry Casey, a Republican strategist. Terry, I want to begin with you. Start us with your reaction to the 15th. And Carey, we heard him a short time ago saying that this win, it's a wake-up call for Nancy Pelosi, that her days as Speaker are coming to an end.
Well, there's obviously much to debate on what the impacts are nationally, but in this 15th district, the margin was much bigger than what your polling indicated. It looks like the final margin might be around 16 points that Carey wins by. And given the amount of money that his opponent spent, he focused his campaign a little differently. And of course, this is a big district, counties, and he did very, very well, sometimes 65 to 75% in rural counties. And she couldn't come up with enough margin to come out of Franklin County and make up for it. And in this district, Franklin County is about 40%, Fairfield's 20, and then the remaining 40 is the other 10 counties that are mostly rural and more heavily Republican.
You know, David, he had a strategy of kind of lying low. He wasn't taking reporter questions, canceled a number of interviews with us. He did not debate, wasn't having large public rallies where he could be questioned. Do you think that's a strategy? It was very successful for him. He seemed to rely on the Trump endorsement. Will we be seeing that in 2022 from the Republicans?
I mean, I hope not. Win or lose, it's just bad for democracy when basically your strategy is not to have the voters see or hear from you and almost act as if there isn't a race going on. But I want to push back on Terry a little bit. This race in November of 20 was, I think, a 27-point race. It looks like Allison Rousseau is beating that by double digits. And there's no doubt when you have the White House, a midterm or a race like this is tougher. And there's no doubt headwinds that we're seeing in Virginia. So I think Allison Rousseau actually overperformed this district. And you talked about gerrymandering. You know, I think if this is a fair, even district, I think Allison Rousseau beats him. But it's obvious a district that was drawn for Republicans. Steve Stivers won it more handily than Carey just did. And Allison, I think, ran a good race. She ran hard. She's a good candidate. She's got a strong health care message. But in the end, you know, the race never became the high-profile race that someone like an underdog like Allison would need to surprise and win here. But I think it's a result in the end that's closer than it was just a year ago in a moment where there are actually headwinds for candidates like Allison.
But David, as we talk about the midterms and we look ahead, what is it that Democrats need to do to prepare for the midterms? We're seeing a lot of talk about critical race theory down in Virginia. Your thoughts?
You get elected, you got to get things done. And Allison Rousseau, it's really hard to run right now if the look from Washington is that you have the House and the Senate and the White House, and you still haven't gotten the bill that's actually quite popular, almost every issue done. So if you want candidates like Allison Rousseau to have a chance of winning in Washington, they've got to get the balls at the 5-yard line. They got to get it into the end zone on issues that are very popular, that will put money into people's pockets, that'll lift infrastructure in a huge way, which Ohio needs. But to be running as Allison has been when that's not done yet, or as Terry McAuliffe has been when that's not done yet, is a really hard thing to ask candidates to do.
And Terry, quickly, a final thought. Biden right now, we know that President Biden's approval rating is sinking. He can't seem to get his agenda moving in Washington. For Republicans, that gives them a lot of fodder for next year, doesn't it?
Well, and David says they haven't got anything done, but heaven forbid how much worse it would be if they had passed all these trillions and trillions of dollars in spending and higher taxes. So the Democrats have to look at their message situation. And it looks to me like in Virginia, the Republicans going to win, and that ought to be a wake-up call. But I don't know whether the Democrats will really get the message and understand what voters were saying in this election.
Well, we thank both of you for taking time on election night to be with us and share your thoughts. Have a good night.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Good night.